culture is actually pretty good.
We just got like egg in there.
Quick to Drake, he dropped it.
Seeing ghosts.
Did you know that there are a few unfortunate souls that still believed in the Denver Broncos this season? A fool's errand, but that's why the Darwin Awards were created. Yes, on this miserable mile-high night, a chill was in the air. It was the shuddering of a fanbase that has to witness that god-awful offense continually botch core basics. Garbage offensive line play brings us the revelation that Joe Flacco is a submissive. I admire the courage of openly expressing sexual kinks, but that does nothing when you can't quarterback anymore. A defense that was raked over the coals the last few weeks had 9 sacks on the day and silenced their opposition. The Chiefs kinda needed it, but even then, that's not the most laughable aspect. What is this? What the fuck is this play? A fake punt on a 4th and long in your territory? Why is the NFL so prone to overthinking shit? It's the shard on top of a horse-faced sundae. Kansas City easily wins a crucial game for them moving forward. Oh, you didn't hear, did you? Mahomes is gonna be out for a few weeks. You now get Matt Moore, who was last seen scouting for the Dolphins at the Combine. Be thankful it isn't a season ender. Hail to the Redskins, now featuring weather conditions that perfectly match the feelings of the fan base. Thanks to the terrible field of play, next to no offense can be conducted without it turning into a sloppy rendition of the Waltz of the Flowers. Everyone remember the slip-and slides you used to go down as a kid? FedEx Field hosted that kind of game. Even then, with all the advantages for San Francisco nullified, Washington still can't win. Good. Fuck that team. Even Kyle Shanahan couldn't stand such a shithole, and he's totally justified. Just go away. Speaking of teams that should just go the fuck away and never return, the Atlanta Falcons. People keep telling me Atlanta isn't a manufacturing town, but with how much misery and failure you've been producing as of late, I'd argue you're a juggernaut up there with Detroit and Cleveland. Just look at this game against the Rams. It turned into a laugher by the third quarter. These are the new Falcons, a team that hasn't come anywhere close to recovering from their colossal chokes over the past few years. There needs to be change. There needs to be a lot of it. This team isn't winning shit the way they are now. Not with Devontae Freeman being ejected or Matt Ryan getting injured or that sad thing they call a defense. Your season's done, Atlanta. They'll need to go undefeated to even have a chance at making it. Does anyone see that happening with slapstick plays like this? Fuck to the no. They can join the Bungles in being putrid shit that no one wants to look at. Even against an offense that didn't want to play much of anything for the second consecutive week since he couldn't do a damn thing to change their fortunes. Look at all of these golden opportunities the Bungles predictably bungled away. It's a montage of ineptitude. Catches become fumbles, red zone chances become field goals, and Andy Dalton. Oh, the Red Rifle is shooting far worse than blanks. 3 interceptions within a 5-minute span to give Jacksonville victory to keep their season alive. You sure you want to keep AJ Green around for this sort of bullshit? He's gonna help you get a win? Really? Do my eyes deceive me? The Miami Dolphins are leading against a strong Buffalo Bills defense? Lecture me about halftime all you want, but this is horrible news for Miami. They are keen on destroying their carefully sculpted and deconstructed tank. This is all Fitzception is good for, bringing hope to teams that can't afford it. Fortunately for those of us desiring another Super Tank Bowl, the utter lack of talent that the Dolphins have manages to rear its head as Buffalo does just enough to escape the clutches of the Comedy Club to win. The Bills are weird to me. They have a really good defense, but their offense skews very, very fraudulent. Josh Allen is developing, but much slower than the team needs him to. Let's just hope it doesn't stay a trend. Raider Nation has reached a nice high. 2 strong wins against capable opponents with their eyes set on taking out those dreaded referees, accompanied by the Green Bay Packers. The good news is that they kept it close for the first half. The bad, Derek Carr hasn't learned from his mistakes. It happened again. Fumbling a ball out of the end zone for a touchback. Look at it, it's the exact same fucking play! Carr, I love you, man, but that doesn't bode well for Gruden's greatness. Neither does Aaron Rodgers passing on the defense at will. It's becoming rarer and rarer with age, but he can still sling the ball when needed. It wasn't all that great, only throwing for 5 TDs and a perfect passer rating. Oakland can't keep up and falls back to the reality of 500. Tough luck, boys. Try again next time. Here's a Mike Glennon sighting to keep you company. Another miserable day in the city that never sleeps. First, the Yankees experienced the first world problems of not reaching a World Series in this decade. Then the derp ended up happening. Not many people knew who Chase Edmonds was before today. They do now. Thank you, Giants defense, for the newest hot commodity on the fantasy waiver wire. 3 touchdowns to scorch the ground in which they are forced to desecrate. Despite being a game back from the division, the Giants weren't anywhere near it. Daniel Jones is far too green to fully control Eli's magic. Like many that have tried, it ended up consuming him whole, particularly on the final drive. Not even Saquon could save New York from this treacherous yet easily avoidable fate. As for the Cardinals, they get, what's this, hope? Nothing like at least having some semblance of progress, right? Thank the gods for easy opponents. Poaching is a serious issue in the Serengeti. Illegal hunting of lions has been frowned upon by most of the civilized world for decades on end. This is where I must tell you a harsh reality. The NFL not only allows it, but promotes such a hunt. The Vikings took to the savannah and shot this fierce lion right in the head in its own territory. Like always, the hunted is defensive of their land. They attack with everything they have, but it means nothing if the other team has a gun. The special powder is that despite their prowess, the Lions aren't over 500. You know the rules. Kirk Cousins dominates by means of the air attack. Maybe it's less narrative and more the Vikings getting their shit together, but it doesn't make it any easier for Detroit. More misery and another blow as their competitors eke further ahead of them. Unfortunately, you can't blame the Zebras this time. Only yourselves. The Indianapolis Colts are an interesting breed. A team that will both perplex and impress at the same time. Today they get their chance at a new emergence. The Houston Texans, the currently deemed class of the AFC South, are coming to reinforce their claim. They will be shut down at every turn. The Colts shall silence their offensive attacks everywhere they go. The Colts will use the air to bombard their battered defenses into submission. The fighting would be fierce, but Indianapolis must remain one step ahead of their adversary at all costs. And that they did. They are cunning bastards, and they always do what needs to be done to get what they want. To make an omelet, you need to break some eggs. All they need to complete this balanced breakfast is to stop them on this final drive.
Watkins. Intercepted.
I see the Texans' wideouts besides Hopkins can't receive gifts since they're so modest. All they do is give everything away. Such a pity. Good news, Mitch Trubisky is starting at quarterback again. What, you thought this was good news for the Bears? Nope, this is for every team that's facing him. Now whatever hope you had offensively will be like your running game. Dead on arrival. Have you noticed how well the Saints' defense has been playing as of late? Let's just say it's a high-speed train hitting a snail on impact. There is no contest. New Orleans goes into Soldier Field and flat-out imposes their will. If you were to look at his base stats, you'd say Trubisky had a good game. Don't be fooled. Most of that happened in garbage time. When it mattered, he was terrible. I never bought into the hype for him like so many. Nothing really wowed me about him, and it seems my inclinations are being proven right. At least for now. Like a certain 49ers team, the Ravens have plenty of doubters about their long-term aspirations. They have been exposed several times against talented teams and seem to suffer from glaring flaws in their lineup. You wouldn't have guessed this against Seattle, on the road in hostile conditions. Not only keeping their potent offense in check for most of the game, but pulling ahead in the fourth quarter to put a convincing victory on their season's resume. Lamar did his thing, and he would have done better if a certain Mark Andrews could catch the ball. The AFC North is all but theirs for the taking. Did I mention this was Earl Thomas's revenge game? Because it was. He was as giddy as a schoolboy after that win, about as much as the Niners and Rams were as their rival for the division loses a step. This game is a hell of a lot more on the line than it should for two 2-4 teams spiraling the pits of despair. The Chargers need to get their offense going and fulfill their potential. The Titans are just looking for anything on that side of the ball. The results from the new age of the white Marcus Mariota were mixed. There wasn't much that happened on offense, which is an upgrade from most weeks, but there's good news. The mistake in LA couldn't do a damn thing either. It's a vintage record that's been overplayed for years, yet continually gets airtime. The Chargers are embracing that San Diego spirit. They are charging for what is roughly the 7th time this year, taking an easily winnable situation and choosing to spit on it in its open invitation. The game remains a distant shot despite having the advantage of talent. But like usual, LA needs to come back and make this close yet come up painfully short. See the defense force a turnover on downs to get the ball back? Good. Now watch Phillip Rivers lead a comeback drive for a touchdown to Eckler. It turns out he was short of the goal line, but it's okay, still plenty of time. Bring in Melvin Gordon to get to that payday, in which he was also short of the goal line. May the third time be the charm, Chargers. More like 3 strikes and you're out. Not only proving how stubborn the play calling is, Gordon also fumbled the ball. The Titans gained possession. I like that they're good at acquiring powers from teams they face. They've mastered Detroit's self-immolation and now 1 yard short from Tennessee. It's an impressive arsenal. Doug, let's talk. When you go out and boast that you aren't just going to win in Dallas, but do it convincingly, you better back it up. Whatever the hell that was supposed to be ain't gonna cut it. In fact, I doubt it would suffice against a few college teams. It was that pathetic of a display. Falling face first right out of the chute as the Cowboys stomp and piss all over your pre-dug grave is not something a team should be proud of. Hell, this game was over before halftime. You ever see people try to grab a dangling dollar on top of their heads? Those poor saps below were the Eagles in this game. Only difference is they're dropping hot oil over your heads in the process. I think you've got bigger issues to deal with than boasting before games, Doug. The defense is an abomination. The team is undergoing a mutiny. Private leaks spreading like wildfire, lambasting the team's vision and turning on Carson Wentz like Judas in Gethsemane. Holy figures usually suffer a cruel death. Maybe this is his? People are really thinking the Jets are going to be massacred, eh? I'm going to be honest, I think the Jets will surprise people today. Sam Darnold will hold his own, trust me, we saw this last week.
It's times like this I wish I were a religious man.
It's all over, people. We don't have a prayer. Oh.
Why the fuck did I think that the butt fumble would bother to show up? Those performances are usually part of cringe compilations. Darnold was so awful you could have thrown out a drunken Joe Namath in his mink coat and he'd have done better. It would make sense if he was seeing ghosts. He was overthrowing every fucking thing in sight. The real ghosts he should be worried about are his offensive line. Purely invisible and offensive to anything resembling a line. Let me check something quickly. How has this thing been going non-stop for a month straight? The gods always demand sacrifice. Let us lament those we have lost this week.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
May the fallen be blessed in the football afterlife. Amen.
And they've been able to find ways to do it. It's been a collective effort and has been here today.
Cordero Patterson with some running room, and look out. The big fella's across the 50. He's inside the 30. Breaks a tackle to the 10. Patterson goes the distance. 102 yards.